Well, I think so, because for one thing, the vision of St. Thomas shows the universe as one, as having a powerful unity. And the new physics, the Big Bang, is all drawing the universe back. It's not just all these disparate things, but it's drawing them all back into great unifying laws and back even to a single source. So the universe in the modern science is turning out to be much more powerfully one than we suspected before. That's one thing. And also it comes back to simpler and simpler laws. And all the multiplicity of particles comes down to fewer and fewer. And finally the particles sort of get fused together almost in that initial state. So you're coming down to something almost like pure energy at the beginning. Now, in the Thomistic vision, what is common to all things is the radical energy of existence. It can be conceived like an energy because it's an act of presence. It isn't a form or a structure. It's an act of presence and immediately expands like an act of energy. So that the most radical thing in St. Thomas is the energy of existence. And in the modern physics, what is the great underlying unity now turns out to be more and more some kind of radical physical energy, so that the physicists describe the universe as transformations of energy. Notice the two elements there. Form, different forms corresponding to essence, transformations of something that's not a form, of energy, which is a kind of an opposite of form. So that's a radical energy. That's the unity. All the universe is through transformations of this mysterious one kind of energy there. So that's somewhat of an analog of existence as the common unity, which is beyond all forms and structures. Existence is not this form or that form. It's precisely a richness beyond it, which is limited by form. And the energy for the physicist is not a form. It takes now this form and now that form. So there's a kind of analogy there. And then the notion of potentiality is very basic in the Thomistic, that things have a potentiality which then unfolds into actuality. And to understand in the quantum physics today that, at least in the subatomic particles, they are not the same in the reality as the way we know them. When we get to know them and do an experiment, they snap into a more determinate state. So that by doing the experiment, the experimenter gets into the act. And so things are completed, so to speak, by the knower, the physicist, getting into relation with them by an experiment. So that then the question is, well, what are the things before we do the experiment? Now the experimenter is a part of the whole situation in all the new physics. It isn't as though you can observe the universe at a distance, just what it is in itself. No. When you observe it, you also change it and modify it. So we're all woven together now. Then the question is, what could the universe be when we're not observing it? Well, some say it's total blank. We can't do it. In St. Thomas, he can very well say, what you have there is objective potentialities. Potentialities that if we get into connection with them, they will show up this way. Like the electron, we used to think of the electron as a little planet spinning around the nucleus like a sun. That's not the case anymore at all. When we're not observing an electron, the electron isn't here or there. It's an energy pulse all around the nucleus at once, and you can't say where it is. But when we do an experiment on it, the wave packet, they say, collapses, and it comes into a little tiny electron here and not there with a definite mass and so on like that. Now, so the electron shows up when we do an experiment. Well, what is it before we do the experiment? Well, you'd have to say it's a real potentiality that when you do an experiment, it'll show up as an electron. The wave will show up as an electron. But potentiality can never be described empirically. The only thing you can describe empirically is an actuality. You can't describe the potentiality of something. If if your daughter over there, for example, say, well, she can play the violin. Can you play the violin? The piano or something, or guitar? Well, she can sing. Okay, you can say, she can sing. Now, her ability to sing, there's no way of describing that ability to sing as an ability. I can't peer inside her and see that. No, I just see the vocal cords. What I can describe is when she sings, actually, that I can describe and say, since she is actually singing now, I say, therefore she must have the ability. But the ability can't be described empirically, but it's there. So that enables you to talk about the real world without trying to give a measurement of it independently of the observer, that sort of thing. So the world is real potentialities ready to show up this way under observation.